All right, guys, this is Nobody Central coming back at you with another YouTube video, and I really do appreciate all the love and support so far. I just had a video yesterday about just talking about the excitement, the projected depth chart before fall camp with my guy Noel Nation. Be able to go follow and show him some love as well. But super excited to see how fall camp was today. Mike Norvell actually made some comments, and let's go ahead and get straight into it. I'm not all about telling elite lies and just talking about certain things. And I understand that Florida State's not been in a good spot in terms of just having the production on the field. I mean, having 7 wins in 2 years is not something you want to really have. And Florida State fans expect more. I mean, this is not even a 6-6 program or a 7-5 program. Heck, this isn't even an 8-4 program. Basically, 2 years ago, we were basically left out of the college football playoff after going 13-0. So Florida State is not so far behind that they are just behind the totem pole at this point. I think that a lot of things happened. I think they got complacent in a lot of places, and they just thought everything was going to be great. They were going to run it back, and everything was going to be great. But I honestly think that Mike Norvell could have a great year. He's basically got his back against the wall. The administration basically retained him for this upcoming season, and it seems almost like Florida State fans are looking for the buyout potentially. But the problem is the buyout is so high, you want Mike Norvell to succeed. Really, the biggest thing is the quarterback position. Ashton Daniels was brought in this offseason, and Thomas Castellanos was an example of last year, and DJ Uyunglele was also in 24, another example of a transfer option that Florida State had to have. And the thing is really the only productive quarterback that Mike Norvell has really had in his tenure at Florida State has been Jordan Travis, who was not even his own. It was brought in by Willie Taggart with the old staff in that last year in 2019. And I thought that Jordan Travis was growing and developing really well. He basically hints his development on Mike Norvell as well as Kenny Dillingham. But I do think that the fact of the matter is, Ashton Daniels is going to have to be better than what he was as a college thrower in terms of being at Stanford and also at Auburn. He's got to be better than what he has. And let's face it, I mean, his skill sets are basically the RPO game, doesn't really have a strong arm, can be able to be mobile a little bit more, a little bit taller than Thomas Castellanos, is 6'2". But I mean, the 28 touchdowns and 24 interceptions for his career is not something you're going to write home about. Obviously, he's got the running ability, and you're talking about the 2 game sample size against Vandy and Alabama. But the problem that I run into is, yeah, he had even Cam Coleman at Auburn, and he was behind Jackson Arnold, who I didn't think was a very good quarterback at all. And Deuce Knight was obviously a pretty talented quarterback, as you see. But I think that the overall aspect of everything is he's got to have weapons being able to throw the ball. They got to come down with the catches. They can't be able to be complacent, especially if they get a huge win against like an SMU early on. And you got to be able to continue to fight. You can't be able to just let up at the back end of half of the season. And I think that's what Florida State's done. And even in the 23 season, they backed away at the back half of the season. And really, the only time you saw a strong finish was the 22 year. And I would say the back half of that schedule was very easy compared to what it could be. And you had a 10-win season out of that. But I do think that Ashton Daniels is going to have a Duce Robinson that, man, I mean, he come back from his senior season, had those 56 receptions, 1,081 yards, as well as 6 touchdowns. The 6 touchdowns was very disappointing for him. He's a very talented receiver. You want to have more red zone touches for a guy like Duce Robinson, a 6'6" receiver that can go grab anything. Yes, the Virginia game was kind of a game where he was a little bit more inconsistent. You saw a game against Alabama where he only had 2 catches for 14 yards. But I do think that this could be a guy that's going to be an all-around guy. And you got to look at it. Mike Norvell is calling the plays this year. And say what you want to about him as a play caller, but he's going to get the athletes the ball in their hands. And obviously, you're going to have him Kai Dancy, who's not going to have those jet sweeps anymore, per se. You're going to have more quick screens and maybe quick slants. Ashton Daniels doesn't throw the ball very well down the field. But the more encouraging fact that I heard from this fall camp and the first press conference that Mike Norvell had was that Ashton Daniels had a deep connection with Duce Robinson for a touchdown. That is encouraging to see, whether it was from an RPO, whether it was from a blown coverage, whatever the case is, they were able to throw the ball down the field. And that's not something you've seen a lot from Florida State the last couple of years. And you want to see that more often. You want to see them taking chances, and you want to have that running game with Chroma, Wisner, as well as Singleton, those three-headed monster. You want to be able to have those guys being able to run the ball efficiently, have your offensive line being able to block for them, and it sets up for easier pass block opportunities. I think this is going to be an opportunity for Duce Robinson to have over 10 touchdowns. Maybe it's a little bold. Maybe it's a double digit thing. I'm not necessarily saying he's the top receiver in all of college football, but he is the top 10. I do think that he's around that 7 to 8 range, maybe even six if you want to call him that. But I do think that Deuce Robinson is going to have a fantastic year, whether it be getting him in space. Maybe, if you talk about Malachi Tony, for example, his skill set isn't really exactly the best. I mean, he had 81 receptions last year, and you're looking at the other thing too is his skill set basically runs off of tunnel screens. And Mario Cristobal, as much as you hate to say him as a head coach, has done a really good job in scheming that up, and Shannon Dawson's done a really good job over there as well for their offense coordinator. But I just wonder how Florida State's going to be able to kind of get the ball in his hands because you cannot allow in an Alabama game on the road, you got to have him involved in that game. You can't have him just having two catches for 10 yards. I get he's going to be blanketed. He might even be double covered, but your best receivers have got to touch the ball, regardless of if it's just a screen, getting him out in motion, being able to kind of take the pressure off of him, I think is going to be a big key. Running the football is going to be massive for this team. But I just think overall, as the season goes on, Deuce Robinson's got to get stronger and stronger and have those big outbursts of games, especially in the middle part of the season where you're playing a Louisville on the road, you're playing a Miami on the road, and then you're playing a Clemson at home before you kind of have that pivotal stretch at the very end that you have to finish also. So I just wonder how Florida State's going to be able to do this season. But I do think that Deuce Robinson is going to be your guy that's going to be your top player on this team, regardless of offense or defense. And it's going to be a special year for Deuce Robinson if Ashton Daniels is able to give him the ball and being able to give him many opportunities because Mike Norvell is basically playing for his job. I think this is going to be desperation mode for him. He's going to give Deuce Robinson many opportunities. And I have him at probably about 60 catches, maybe 1,200 yards, and about 10 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to quite get like the 12 or 13, nothing outrageous like that. But I can definitely see him with 3 touchdowns here in a conference game. Maybe against like Central Arkansas, he could have like two. The list goes on and on. Maybe even New Mexico State, he can have 2 touchdowns. And I mean, if you think about that right there, three, two, and two, I mean, that's already 7 touchdowns right there. So you're really just looking for three more in more pivotal matchups. Man, that could really be scary for Deuce Robinson and having a productive senior season for Florida State. But let me know in the comments below what you think about what Deuce Robinson is going to do this year. I think he's going to be a special piece for Florida State. I know Florida State fans enjoy him, regardless of how you think about how the season's going to go. Everyone loves Deuce Robinson. He's a legacy recruit. His dad played at Florida State. I'm just super excited to see what's going to happen this year, especially on the offensive end with him being the focal point of this offense. And I just want to hopefully cheer him on as he has many touchdowns at Doak Campbell Stadium. But be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and as always, go Noles.